Welcome back to the channel, guys. So the question we have today is, how do we perfectly book Liv Morgan as Smackdown champion? And I think I have the perfect answer or the worst answer in the world. But before we get started, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Help your boy out to 450 subscribers as the goal for this month. Thank you guys so much for your continued support. So we all know what happened. At Money in the Bank, Liv Morgan cashed in her Money in the Bank briefcase to become the Smackdown Women's Champion to a controversial ending. And last week on Smackdown, they had a women's gauntlet for the #1 contender to face Liv Morgan at Clash at the Castle, and the winner of that was Shayna Baszler. Now, with her facing Shayna Baszler and Clash at the Castle being September 3rd, which is a couple weeks from now, I think I know how they can book this in the favor of Liv Morgan and make her look great. So I believe that while Liv Morgan is out in the ring, whether it's after a match or she's out there addressing the crowd and thanking people like that, I think Shayna Baszler should come out and interrupt her with a microphone. Now, obviously, as a heel, Shayna Baszler is going to get on the mic and disrespect Liv Morgan by saying things like she doesn't respect her as a champion because she won it in a controversial way. She should never have this belt because of what happened at Money in the Bank. But in addition to that, she has no history in wrestling. She was a Hooters person. She was doing gymnastics, and that's how she got picked up. She never had any history in wrestling. And just like any other blonde in this industry, they all get an opportunity. They should never have a day of their life. Also, in addition to that, Shayna Baszler says that she's childish, she's immature, and she doesn't even take being a champion or a fighter seriously at all. And she can't represent the rest of the locker room as a champion because we don't respect you. Now, obviously, Liv Morgan is insecure about the way people perceive her as a champion and what happened at Money in the Bank. So her response is basically defending herself, saying that I am a fighting champion, I will prove it to people, etc., etc. So Shayna Baszler at that point, obviously picking on her insecurity, will say something like, well, okay, well, if you feel like you're a fighter, if you're a fighting champion, when it comes to fighters, we take whatever is put in front of us. It's not about whether we want to or we don't. It's about, am I a fighter or am I not? That's the question. She continues to say, so if you want to prove that you're a fighter, why don't you fight me tonight? Let's just do it tonight. Liv Morgan says, no, I'm not putting my title on the line tonight. We have our match at Clash at the Castle, so why don't we just wait then, just like everybody else have to, and you will have to wait as well. Now, Shayna Baszler's response to that is, I'm not trying to tell you to put your title on the line tonight. What I'm saying is that let's do an exhibition match so you can prove to people that you're a true fighter. Now, on top of that, there's a little bit of a stipulation we have on this match tonight. Whoever wins this match, they decide what type of match we have at Clash at the Castle. Liv Morgan looks at her, she glances at the crowd, she looks back at Shayna Baszler, and she says, no. What is the benefit of me winning this match and having a stipulation for the match at Clash at the Castle to have an advantage for me when everybody is accusing me of not belonging here or saying that I don't deserve this title because of what happened in Money in the Bank? No, I want a straight up match with you, have it even on both sides, and do it that way. And of course, Shayna Baszler doesn't like that answer. She looks pissed off. She picks up the mic and says, you're going to regret that answer. Now, in the next upcoming week, Shayna Baszler is going to be doing things to inconvenience Liv Morgan, like standing by the ringside in order to distract her and make her lose matches, attacking her after the match is over, and things like that. Now, after the first beating, she's going to put her in a caribou clutch. She's going to put the microphone up to her face and say, what do you say, Liv Morgan? If you don't say yes to my offer, the beatings will continue. The choice is up to you. She gets broken up again by the referees and the security guards, and then she walks away. Now, after getting tired of the beatings and tired of Shayna Baszler, Liv Morgan will step in the center of the ring and accept her offer. But she will say this, that Shayna Baszler, if you win this match, you do get to decide what type of match we have at Clash of the Castle. But for me, I don't want any stipulations. I'm a fighting champion. I don't need any handicap. I don't need any help. I just want to beat you in the side of the ring so then I can show you how much of a fighter I am so then I can beat you again at Clash at the Castle. Shayna Baszler comes out with the microphone. She's clapping her hands very sarcastically, and she's like, you know what? I respect that. I like what you got in you. So let's do this match tonight. So, of course, they have the match, and whatever happens in the match at the end of the day, Shayna Baszler wins the match. And then she puts her in a caribou clutch again to try to injure her, to try to hurt her, to soften her up for Clash at the Castle. And when Shayna Baszler picks up the mic, she's like, well, since I won the match, and because we're holding on to both of our ends of the bargain, the match that we're going to have at Clash at the Castle is going to be a submission match. Now, we find out the whole reason why Shayna Baszler even wanted to have that match is to kind of soften Liv Morgan up. So when they have that match, a submission match at Clash at the Castle, it makes it a little bit easier for Shayna Baszler to win that match. So now let's fast forward to Clash at the Castle, September 3rd, and talk about how this whole entire match plays out. So for the most part in the match, you see Liv Morgan trying to attempt some submission moves, and because of Shayna Baszler's history in the UFC, she finds a way to reverse them. It's not completely one-sided, but the things that Liv Morgan's trying to do to cause submissions is not working. So obviously Shayna Baszler is going to have the advantage in that sense. But you know what? Liv Morgan's putting in some good blows. She's fighting. She's going back and forth with Shayna Baszler. And eventually Shayna Baszler again has her in the caribou clutch, which looks like that she's about to tap Liv Morgan out. Now, this may be a page out of Vince McMahon's book, but whether you like this decision or not, just ride with me to the end of this video because I'm going to show you how it's going to pay off. Eventually, we see a bunch of security guards running down the ramp, and lo and behold, here comes Ronda Rousey again. Now, Ronda Rousey runs down the ramp, slides into the ring, and stumps Shayna Baszler, wants to get her off of Liv Morgan, and proceeds to stump Liv Morgan. She starts to put Liv Morgan into an arm bar, but then Shayna Baszler, being pissed off obviously because Ronda Rousey ruined her title shot, she goes in and her and Ronda Rousey starts to brawl out in the ring. Now, in repetitive fashion, in this video here, the referees and the security guards obviously come out because Ronda Rousey's not really supposed to be there, and also because it's going a little too brutal in the ring. So Shayna Baszler on the next Smackdown comes out in the center of the ring, very pissed off obviously because Ronda Rousey ruined her title shot, and she basically explains how much respect she has for Ronda Rousey, but at the same time she doesn't respect what she did at Clash at the Castle. And also addressing Liv Morgan, where she says, here we go again, the fighting champion finding another easy way and some help in order to get out of not proving herself as a fighter. Liv Morgan comes out and then she addresses Shayna Baszler and says, you know what, I understand where you're coming from. I didn't expect Ronda Rousey to come out there. That was my opportunity to prove to people that I was a fighting champion, but because of Ronda Rousey coming out to interfere with the match, it ruined it for me and obviously ruined the title shot for you. But here we go. Just like last time, how about this? Since you like stipulations and you like offers so much. She says, how about you versus me at Extreme Rules for the SmackDown Women's Champion? Shayna Baszler looks surprised. She's like, yeah, I'll take that. Liv Morgan says, but you know what? There's a caveat to this. It's me and you and Ronda Rousey in a triple threat submission match, no disqualifications, so that nothing can happen, nothing can take away from me winning this match. If I'm supposed to be champion, I will come out as champion. If I'm not supposed to, then I won't come out as champion. So there's no excuses. There will be a clear, defining winner at the end of this match. So Shayna says, whoa. That doesn't make any sense. That was our championship match. What that has to do with Ronda Rousey? It has to be between me and you. You're done with her already. It's time to move on to something else. Now, Liv Morgan sarcastically responds to her and says, well, I thought you said you were fighters. I thought you said you were a fighter. You don't turn away from offers that put in front of you. I thought the question isn't whether you feel like it or not, but the question now is, do you want the title or don't you? So Shayna Baszler looks at her with a smirk on her face because she's impressed by what she says, and she knows she's right about what she said about her. And she's like, you know what? I'll accept this. I'll accept that match. And Liv Morgan says, well, you know, the caveat is that we have to get Ronda Rousey on board because I want to face the both of you guys in the ring. No one can interfere in anyone else's match. We can have a straight up match. And the other thing is, and also to the WWE staff, even though Ronda Rousey has been suspended for what she did recently at Clash of the Castle, you guys need to release her suspension at least for 2 days. One to accept the offer, the other to be at the match if she does accept the offer. Outside of that, you guys do what you have to do. So eventually down the road, Ronda Rousey comes to SmackDown. She speaks to Liv Morgan and they talk about the offer that she gave to Shayna Baszler, which Shayna Baszler accepted. And Ronda Rousey, as being the petty individual as she is, she basically says, no, I'm not accepting this. What does this have to do with Shayna Baszler? You stole the championship from me and you didn't win it. We saw on the camera that you tapped out. So you should finish what you already started and then move on to Shayna Baszler. I'm not accepting this. I'm walking away. But as she walks away, out of nowhere, Shayna Baszler attacks her. Now, in the same manner as we're repeating in this video, the same exact way, Ronda Rousey is pissed off and she's like, you know what? I want to be in that match because I want to win that championship, but also I want to beat the Pope. I want to beat Shayna Baszler into a Pope. So that's very satisfying for me. You know what? I'm going to accept this match. Let's go ahead and do this. Now that's perfect because we're talking about a submission match, no disqualification at a pay-per-view called Extreme Rules. So that's perfect. That is a perfect match for those three. And also you have this whole thing going on. You have Ronda Rousey who's pissed off at Shayna Baszler because she's out for blood, but also mad at Liv Morgan for stealing the championship from her. You have Shayna Baszler having the same issue with Ronda Rousey. She wants to beat her to a bloody pulp and she's pissed off with her, but she also doesn't respect Liv Morgan as a champion. And Liv Morgan, who is in the midst of all three of these people, who is trying to prove herself as a fighting champion and prove that she deserves to have that title. Now in the actual match, the interesting thing about this is it's going to be a little crazy. They're using all different things, kendo sticks, tables, etc. Now in this match, Ronda Rousey and Shayna Baszler are going to try to find ways to either injure people's arms, obviously for Ronda Rousey when she tried to put people in the armbar, Shayna Baszler obviously to soften people up for the Caribou to clutch. But the interesting thing for Liv Morgan, even though she's taking blows and she's involved in all these different things, she's attacking people's legs, whether it be with weapons, whether it be her drop kicking, whether it be whatever the case may be, she's obviously aiming to soften people's legs. Now the interesting thing with that is they're like, why is she softening people's legs? We don't understand what she's about to do. but we know this is a submission match, so obviously whatever submission move she's trying to do, she's going to go for the legs. Now at the end of the match, after all the carnage, after all the fighting, the beating, and everything like that, you have Liv Morgan on the outside of the ring after being beat up, but you have Shayna Baszler, who has Ronda Rousey in the Karabuta clutch, and obviously it looks like Ronda Rousey is about to pass out. Now, Liv Morgan comes in the ring weakened, obviously, with a weapon, whether it be a kendo stick or a chair, whatever the case may be. She smashes Shayna Baszler a couple of times to try to catch her, and once she unlocks the Karabuta clutch, Ronda Rousey is very close to fainting. And then she takes that kendo stick and goes to Shayna Baszler, hits her in the leg over and over and over, even though Shayna Baszler has been limping in this match due to the things that Liv Morgan has been doing to her leg. Now, Liv Morgan looks at her with a smile on her face, shaking her head. Yes, like this is the perfect moment. Looking at Shayna Baszler, she runs over and hustles to her and puts her in the finisher, the submission move, the Texas Clover Leaf, and wins the match by doing that. Now that might sound really stupid, it might sound really weird, but let me explain the importance of her doing that move. For one, she becomes a submission specialist now, in a sense, and also if they decide to turn her heel, she can also use that move to injure her opponents, you know, because that's what heels do. But also on the following Smackdown, she gets in the center of the ring, she picks up the mic, she talks about how happy she is to show people she's a fighting champion, but she says she want to address some things that were said to her. One of the things they said, she wasn't a fighting champion. She went through a couple of matches with two of the baddest women in the WWE who were ex-UFC fighters, so that counts her as a fighting champion. Another thing that Shayna Baszler has said about her is that she doesn't take it seriously, that she isn't a fighter. Liv Morgan says, you know what? When I made Shayna Baszler and Ronda Rousey that offer, I was thinking ahead of time. So when they say I didn't take this seriously, I did. And she said, you know what? The weeks before we got to Extreme Rules, I took the time to be trained by one of the legends, one of the greats of all time, one of the most underrated wrestlers in the history of wrestling. Now, if you didn't know, Liv Morgan is from New Jersey. And she says, from my hometown, one of the legends from my town, Dean Malenko. And Dean Malenko comes down the ramp. He waves to the crowd. And I know people say that, well, Dean Malenko doesn't have a great relationship with Vince McMahon, but we have Trips here, so there's a possibility that we can bring him down the ramp. And they can show like pictures. If they couldn't get him to come to the ring, they obviously could show pictures of him training her in the ring. But that's the reason why she was able to develop a strong Texas Cloverleaf. So it's almost like a passing of the torch, so to speak. And I understand that Sheamus already has a Texas Cloverleaf, but, you know, as we know, multiple people have different, multiple different finishes. Everybody shares certain finishers, and that's absolutely fine. I don't think that takes anything from Sheamus. So what do you guys think? Do you guys think it's the perfect booking for Liv Morgan, or is it mid, or is it the worst booking you heard a day in your life? But either way, let me know in the comment section. I appreciate you guys' input. Thank you guys so much for watching. Salute. Peace. Have a good day.